All right, time to see what's on the radar for Paul Harris, portfolio manager at Harris Douglas Asset Management. And we'll start off Visa.
Yeah.
Always a kind of a rock solid, isn't it?
Yeah, so, Visa to me is like the 407, right? It's just you constantly pay when you go through.
Yeah.
You don't take any credit risk. The credit risk falls to the bank. So I mean, it's had a kind of a tough time over the last little while. Last year, I think it didn't do so well. I think the stock is at a level where you should look to buy it. There are only really three competitors, but two major competitors, which is the other one is MasterCard. I think one of the issues they've faced a couple of issues. One is there's a regulatory issue about the swipe fee that they're going to have, which may affect them, but I would think they would try to settle that at court and pay out some money. That's one thing. The other thing, obviously, is the fact that there are so many different kind of technology companies that are weighing on it. But I think, Visa understands that. They've tried to buy some companies. That Plaid was one of them, but they couldn't do the deal because of the Biden administration. So I think that there's this feeling that, somebody's going to take over their network and all that stuff. The reality is that there's still growth for the company. One, internationally, people forget that, but there's tons of people use a lot of cash still. Yeah. Number two, their B2B businesses, not only the consumer business, but the B2B business is growing, where smaller businesses like myself can now pay for their professional staff using their credit cards, and then the points that you get on these cards are really important. So people tend to use them a lot more than they would previously, right? And so also access to those cards are a lot easier. You can just pay with your phone now and all these other things. So I think Visa is a good opportunity at these levels. I think that, like you said, they're not taking on any credit risk. Really, it's just a toll booth where you get paid. Now that may come down, but I think Visa understands the dynamics of the business and how it's changing. And I think they understand the fintech side of it as well, where they're looking to, be on top of where they feel their weakness is. But their network is very hard to duplicate in many ways. Right.
Almost like a railway network, right?
Yeah,
it's there and it's built.
Yeah.
AI, is that a concern for them, or are they embracing it and bringing it in?
I think all these companies are embracing it in some way or form. Like they realize that it's going to be a big thing for them. I think one of the things with AI, though, is like you have to see, for it to be really successful, it just can't be tech companies using it. You have to see companies like this effectively use it in their business. However, maybe jobs get lost or whatever. But I think that's where AI becomes much more fruitful and useful, is that when it gets embedded in sort of businesses like this, or the banking business, or an industrial business. So yes, they are using it, but you have to be very careful about using a lot of these things, right? Because there's a lot of security that goes along with using something like AI is indiscriminately will lead to a lot of security issues. So I think they're all using it. How they get to the point where it's embedded fully in their business will take a lot longer than I think people expect.
Okay, let's get on to your other two here. Bank of America.
Right. So Bank of America, I've owned it for a long time. I think this is the sweet spot for banking in the United States for a bunch of reasons. One, the regulatory environment's changing. They don't have to hold on to as much capital because they're bringing that down. So they have more room to either increase buybacks or increase dividends, which I think they're going to be able to both do. I think there's a sweet spot coming in the capital markets side, where you're going to see a number of IPOs this year, big, large IPOs, either on, like SpaceX is probably going to be the biggest one, but on the AI side as well. And you're seeing a lot of volatility. And in volatility, investment banks and trading part of the capital markets make a lot of money in volatility. So they like all this volatility. When there's no volatility, it's actually worse for them in many ways. So you've got all that happening. You've got the other parts of their business doing very well. And, JP Morgan's sort of the standard that everybody looks to, but Brian Moynihan has done a great job with this bank. Maybe he's been slightly too conservative in some ways, but I think that they are going to continue to do well. They've got one of the best retail franchises in the world.
All right.
And so I think that's great.
Okay, let's get the last one in, Stryker.
Yeah, Stryker. So Stryker is a company that makes medical devices, effectively. So hips, knees, ankles, hands, stuff like medical devices for all that stuff. It's a great it's a great business. There's a bit of an annuity in it, in my view. People are getting older, so they're going to need more of this stuff.
Not you and I, but everybody else.
That's right. The other issue is that once doctors use one of these things, they don't switch. So they tend to be an annuity because of that. There's, I think, a lot more growth internationally. They're much more of a U.S. U.S. European centric things. There's a lot more growth internationally for them, and it's a great business because it keeps people out of hospitals, which is really and off drugs, right? Mm-hmm. So if you can get these things done, there was a COVID really hurt them because they're not considered surgery that's necessary, so they're elective. But I think that backlog's gone through. But I think that they're continued to, and the other thing that's happening with them is they continue to buy, kind of what they call tuck-on acquisitions to run their business. So they've really got a great business, and I think that the medical device business is really important to keeping people out of hospital, especially on knees and backs and spines and stuff like that.
Absolutely, I'm all for it. I've got one replacement knee already, so I'm happy with it.